Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. My name is Vineet. IIT Madras, with support from the Ministry of Railways, has developed India's first Hyperloop test track. This 422-meter long track was tested out, and it allowed for 350 kilometers to be traversed in half an hour. This government academia collaboration has brought us a step closer to realizing the fifth mode of transportation in India. The Hyperloop essentially allows passengers to travel at very high speeds via special capsules in vacuum tubes. A single Hyperloop pod can exceed speeds of 1000 kilometers per hour. What is truly revolutionary is that this high-speed travel could significantly reduce travel times between cities and reduce traffic congestion. The Hyperloop has the potential to lower shipping costs for goods over long distances and improve safety by operating in a controlled environment with no obstacles. Powered by magnetic energy and sealed tubes, it could also reduce reliance on traditional fuels, making it an energy-efficient and eco-friendly solution for the future. Keeping all this in mind, the Union Minister of Railways, Ashwini Vaishnav, has unveiled India's plans for a 50-kilometer commercial Hyperloop corridor. He announced an additional grant of Rs $1 million to IIT Madras to realize this vision. We all know that similar such endeavors are being pursued in US, Canada, Europe and the Middle East. With this move, India has entered an elite club of Hyperloop projects. So where do we stand in the global Hyperloop race, and how long will it take for India to get its very first commercial Hyperloop is what we are going to discuss. Before that, this discussion, let's take a look at what Union Minister of Railways, Ashwini Vaishnav, had to say.
This first pod of 422 meters, first tube, this will really go a long way in developing the technologies. I think time has come when, after the first two grants of $1 million each, the third grant of $1 million will be given to IIT Madras for further developing the Hyperloop project in a nice way. And once we see the commercial, or rather pre-commercial, where the product is ready, then within the railway setup, we will start the first commercial project. We will decide a site which can be used for good commercial transportation of, let's say, some 40-50 kilometers. That kind of site we will decide, and then we will.
All right, to talk more about this, joining us on the show is Mr. Sudhanshu Mani, creator of Train 18, Mr. R.S. Verma, former IAS, also joins us on the show. Mr. Ramakrishna Parhamts, IITian from Chennai, is also with us on the show. Mr. R.S. Verma, former IAS, also joins us on the broadcast. All right, Mr. Ramakrishna Parhamts, I'll start with you, sir. I hope you can hear me. Mr. Ramakrishna Parhamts.
Am I audible? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you as well.
Well, first of all, this is a great accomplishment. This is something which definitely brings India closer to realizing its dream of creating a technology that is not only sustainable, viable, economical, but also futuristic. But the big question on everybody's mind is going to be, even mine, is how soon can this in fact be ready for popular consumption?
Right. So I think in this sense, this is a very early technology. We need to sort of be willing to put in a lot of money before we can expect something out of it. And if you're sort of trying to go back to see when people, was starting to think about the Hyperloop, maybe that was not what it was called, but this sort of sense of, very fast transport in vacuum chambers, you can actually go back 200 years. In 1825, when this was really thought of, they wanted to go from London to Edinburgh in 5 minutes with like vacuum tubes. And there were prototypes as early as 1856, although not 1000 kilometers per hour. These prototypes were about 50 or 60 kilometers per hour, which was still impressive for those times. Now you come back and then you see how did it start up again in recent history. It started off with Elon Musk sort of making sort of giving out a paper called the Hyperloop Alpha, wherein he envisioned a new type of transport. And then since then, a lot of companies have wanted to get into this. However, you look at how have things fared for them so far. You see that the Virgin Group sort of had a company called Hyperloop One, they've raised, you could say, about $450 million. And in 2023, they had to close down because they couldn't commercialize it. So this is not really for commercializing tomorrow. This is wherein you have people willing to put in the money and wait years for it to happen. So yes, we should put in the money. Yes, we should be developing it, but would we have it tomorrow? I don't think so. I really don't.
Okay, Wing Commander S. Sudhakaran, former IF, CEO of QGITS Technology, also with us on the show. Wing Commander Sudhakaran, thank you for being here. I hope you can hear me. Wing Commander Sudhakaran?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Well, how do you look at this development? You're always somebody who's always looked at things very pragmatically. This is a fine microcosm of what the future can hold. But let's also hear it from you in terms of the practicalities which are associated with initiating such a technology. If you heard my opening monologue, then we also spoke about the various benefits that this mode of transportation could bring about, including less congestion and less obstacles from going from one point to the other. In your opinion, what could work against it?
It is too early for me to say what could work against it because it's at a very conceptual stage, and these things are very important. Good that India started investing in these technologies. 10 years back, we would look up to the West, to the white man, with our mouth open, gazed, and then for us to buy and use it. We always looked up at our people as some kind of an inferior race who had to follow the white man. Today, the situation is changing. We are doing much, much better. We are foraying into areas which we have not ventured into the past. And therefore, it's good to see the results coming in. So there is one thing that is clear, that there is no dearth of talent here. Given the right kind of policy backing, if you are blessed with the right kind of resources, we can produce the goods. We can develop technologies which are at par with the best. But then still, as I say this, I will air a word of caution that, this is not enough. It looks big because we are starting from zero. We are almost starting from ground zero. We've not done enough in the past. 70 years of our independence, we wasted 55 plus years. We didn't do enough to justify the talents that we did. Yes, we can say we have 5, 6, 7 IITs, but it should have been 50. Why 50? Because we have 5x the population that United States has. So which means to do justice to the talent that is there in the last village, last district. If you have to bring them and expose them, you need academia of excellence. That is something that we have started doing now, but better late than never. But it has started happening, and that is why we are seeing these technologies, being developed and coming to be prototyped. But having said that, are you going to talk about deploying it at a commercial stage tomorrow? No, that is not going to happen here, because again, it is just the baby has born. The baby is not old enough to fight its own war or stand its own legs. So that is going to take some more time. We need to be consistent with our politics, with our policies, with our the enthusiasm to build and conquer those new technology areas. This is just job half done. I wouldn't want to pat myself on the back, specifically because I have a lot of catching up to do. Yes, to all the youngsters who built it, kudos to them, my claps to them, my salute to them, but then we have a long way to walk. We should not rest on our past laurels. We should not become the Indian cricket team of the 80s and 90s, wherein they would win one match out of 10 and then they will talk about it for the next 100 matches, and then the performance is all over the place. We want it to be consistent. We want it to be delivered by the day. And that is when, mind you, we are becoming a superpower. So the very reason that a superpower needs to be dependent on its own technology is the reason why I am saying we need to be cautious. We cannot be dependent on the West any longer to build our markets or to build our careers or lives. it is not about migration any longer. It is about indigenization. It's about staying within the country. It's about building technology for India. It's about MEGA, make India great again.
Okay, all right, well said. Mr. Sudhanshu Mani, creator of Train 18, also with us on the show. Mr. Mani, what are your impressions of this groundbreaking achievement and the club that India has pushed its way across? Is this a reality that we can look forward to? And you'd think in a country like ours, where railways are the backbone of transportation for millions and millions of people, this could be something which can create a ray of hope that negates a number of problems which are associated with the way we travel today.
So let me put things in perspective first. So Hyperloop, like maglev, is being talked about for a long time. The potential speed is touted to be close to supersonic. Till date, only Virgin Hyperloop has conducted a human trial. That too in November of 2020. And it reached a top speed, if I'm not wrong, around 170 kilometers per hour. There have been non-human trials by SpaceX, Hawthorne, California, Technical University of Munich, Swissport Technology, Hart Hyperloop, TASIC, and so on. But it's still very much a blue sky area. To that extent, the IIT Madras R&D on Hyperloop is a very bold and commendable stride into the future. And the team, ITM team, definitely deserves every bit of applause for their exceptional work. IR too, Indian Railways too, merits recognition for bankrolling the efforts thus far, and also pledging further support. This momentum must not wane. R&D must march ahead with committed resolve. But let's be realistic. The goal is constructing a Hyperloop system from, say, Chennai to Bangalore. But immediate gratification predicated on eloquence and feel good, far away from reality. Let's not delude ourselves with premature euphoria. If Hyperloop has to emerge as a competitive clean transport mode, it would be clean, certainly. And if India harbors any aspiration of being a global trailblazer, because, see, let's face it, we are serial followers. We are not leaders in any transport arena at present. Even the Vande Bharat Express, which was built nearly 7 years ago, no technological upgradation has been done to that train so far. And we are hyping everything. So we need a parallel strategy, one forged in national pride, financial pragmatism, and a realistic yet ambitious outlook worthy of a nation of our size, which means actively partnering with a world leader technology company in this, leveraging our willingness to invest colossal sums. Here I'm talking about the China model of leveraging huge investment into new technology, and perhaps a Chennai-Bangalore corridor as a focused high-stakes pilot. But is that being talked about? No, we are only talking about this R&D, which must continue. But let's be realistic, this is not going to take us into a commercial application of Hyperloop in any foreseeable future. This is perhaps an opportunity. I cannot even say that Hyperloop is going to succeed anywhere. Like Shanghai Maglev was built more than 15 years back, and it is the only commercial running maglev today. And it predates research for half a century by all advanced nations, Japan, Germany, everyone. If we want to become a leader, let's commit. Let's take that risk and go ahead with a Hyperloop section. Not 50 kilometers is not going to work. We should be ready to invest in, let's say, Chennai-Bangalore, which is much more than 50 kilometers. And let's take that risk and go ahead with it. And if we do, we'll become a leader like China became in maglev, although it was not their technology. And there will be, of course, a lot of safety concerns, power consumption concerns, and so many other concerns for which standards are not even defined. They say maglev is SIL 4 and Hyperloop is still not defined. All that we'll have to work with international experts. So, as the previous speaker said, we have to be cautious, hopeful, and not be eaten away by our own eloquence. Like you already see media news, Delhi, Jaipur in 1.5 hours, Chennai, Bangalore in half hour. All that, is only puts a shadow on all the good work IIT Madras is doing.
You're quite right about that. Let's also open Mr. R.S. Verma into this conversation. Mr. Verma, too early to get excited because, like Mr. Mani said, this is obviously a project and a prospect which is unclear in terms of its safety standards. It's unclear in terms of what to expect and what challenges could await it. What are your thoughts, sir? Mr. Verma?
It is a
All right, so we have lost you there.
I would like to say that good hope for us, and we should proceed. And whatever obstacles comes regarding electricity,
All right, seems to be a problem with your network, sir. Let me come back to you. Let me rope in Ramakrishna once again. Ramakrishna, if you're there with us.
provided it's
So we can't hear you. There's a problem with your connection. Ramakrishna, the government has helped you. The government is going to continue to help you. But this is not going to be possible without further patronage by the government. What do you think is right now the current expectation from the government
Yes,
when it comes to completing these projects for the future?
in step.
Ramakrishna, that's for you.
It is better. This
Right.
project is.
Could you repeat the
if
last
it
sentence? I sort of lost
Can
you
we
there.
please mute Mr. Verma? Yeah.
succeeds, it is better than bullet trains.
Can we please mute Mr.
It is
Mr.
better
Verma?
than
Right, I lost you the last sentence. Could you repeat that?
Yeah, well, I'm saying what more is expected from the government? There's already help
Yes.
on its way.
I have
Right.
But
So,
it's not only in
that-
terms
that-
of
this-
monetary help that you require from the government. You also need the government resources to pull in international experts and basically figure out how
Right,
to
right.
make this a foolproof technology.
I understand. So I think at this point, the way we're going forward is I see we would certainly need more investment from the government, but on top of which there's an issue of validation, wherein we are building pods, we're building the test tracks, but we're not quite there yet. We have, we're not state of the art. There are better people across the world doing better pods, faster pods. So I think we need better testing strategies. We need better building strategies. So we can sort of develop the pods, and if we get, the testing protocols that might be used elsewhere, that would help a lot more. So, and I think another way to say it is, if you are working towards a certain deliverable for a certain company, it sort of helps better. So you can think of it in several ways. One, yes, the investment from the government. Secondly, working with other research institutes where you're setting up standards, as Mr. Mani rightly said. And thirdly, as he also said, working with companies to deliver. And however, I wouldn't agree with him in the sense that it is still in the research stages wherein you would need a fully working pod at that 50-kilometer stage before you can sort of take it further to Bangalore. You don't want it sort of getting stuck in between. I don't mean it in a literal sense. I meant it metaphorically. So yes, I think broadly three things. Additionally, I would also like to add that there is a startup in IIT Madras which is trying to build it. It's called, I think, PUTR, and they're also trying to sort of build a Hyperloop. However, the current model is completely built by students, undergrad students. Some of them are good friends of mine, and I think a primary hurdle is that only undergrad students are working on this at the moment. We have very little push from other, you could say, people at IIT Madras itself. So you have an undergrad student who's trying to juggle his academics, who's trying to juggle his project at Hyperloop, and everything else. So it becomes his own problem whether it's working or not. And it really needs to be IIT Madras's problem that enough resources are going into this. It needs to be India's problem whether enough resources are going into it. It can't be mine. I think I'd like to stop there.
All right, you're absolutely right about that. And Wing Commander Sudhakaran, in terms of adapting technologies, do you think that India should also focus simultaneously on the bullet train project? We haven't heard of that in some time. How will a successful completion of that will also benefit this aspirational project?
Our biggest Achilles heels has been project management. Like one of the speakers just said, that the Vande Bharat was, inaugurated 7 years before, and then we've not had a technology upgrade on that. We have the money, but we don't spend it right. We don't spend the people who are in charge of spending the money. They don't know how to do it. They're clueless, least to say. Let me mince no words there. A project like Hyperloop, it's going to take tens of billions of dollars. The project, for example, that was proposed between Los Angeles and San Francisco was budgeted at something like 80 billion USD. India's problem is we make a spectacle out of science. We need to stop doing that. We need to treat science as science, let science be where it is, and give due credits. I have personally seen while I was serving, if a white man comes and says and gives you a check for 50 crores, we're more than happy to sign it. But if somebody from your own fraternity comes and says this is going to be cost, you are looked down upon. You want a big bang to happen every second day. That is because of a flawed policy. The IA is okay. These one exam wonders who go one day into veterinary and second day into cutting edge science, that's one part of the story, but they have no clue, most of them. There are some guys who are good, but the some exception is not a norm. We need to understand that these people tend to take the system for a jolly good ride. In fact, I often give the example of the painter. There are two kinds of painters. Anybody with a brush and a paint is a painter. But then we all can call the guy who paints the wall a painter, and the guy who paints Mona Lisa is also a painter. When you're talking about cutting edge systems like Hyperloop, like AGI, you need Mona Lisa class of painters, not anybody who comes and masquerades themselves because they have a paint and the brush in their hand. Now, this is the exact problem with science here. Take, for example, the DeepSeek example. Right? The minister came, they said within 10 months we are going to do, came with a vengeance. It was all rhetoric, all nice. My question to them is, what were you waiting for? If you really had the capacity to develop it in 10 months, you could have done it 4 years back. Did you wait for China to do it? Now, if you really have the capacity, how are you going to do it? You don't even have the necessary resources. These are the problems. Let's not make spectacle out of science. Let's not live in rhetorics. I do understand the intent of the government. There are a lot of good people there. In fact, I abhor the people who lived in the past. They pulled the government down because they believed that outsourcing is a genuine way of making money. Yes, so Make in India is good. But the problem with India today is it's not thinking and making. It's making recklessly without putting the right minds there. We need to have a plan for everything. We need to achieve it. We need to set an end goal. You have backed in like what the other speaker from the IIT Madras has said, that it's undergraduate driven program. You get these skilled people to work only for 2 to 3 years, max. The first year grads are of no use. By the time they come to second year, third year, that's when they start contributing. By the time they are in final year, they're already preparing for their future. And half of them are gone. And by the time they reach the West, in US specifically, they seem to pop out technology like magic, which doesn't happen here. Now, these are things, there are structural issues with us.
All right, sir. So appreciate your points, sir, but we have run out of time. And I appreciate everybody who joined us. This is obviously a great start to an ambitious project, which definitely will find its footing in the course of the next few years. We'll take a short break now. Be right back.